they found the front gate is not working, they go from the back door. If they cannot find the back door, they will try to sneak from the window. If they cannot find the window, maybe they will manage to dig a hole and come from the other side of the house. Or maybe they are very creative, like Mission Impossible, and they will get someone to throw them from the airplane and jump right into your roof, right? So this is all the ways or vectors for the threats to get into your system. But in reality, okay, sorry, in cybersecurity, okay, they have so many different tools to get to you, okay? So one of the tools is to deliver for you a malware, and I will tell you exactly how they deliver a malware, okay? Or maybe they will deliver to you an email with an attachment virus, or maybe they will lead you to a click link, and then you go to a web page, and this web page is controlled by the attacker. Or maybe they will send you an innocent message which looks very innocent, okay, in your WhatsApp, okay, and then they will compromise your phone. And if you have any doubts about this, I just have a very nice article today I was reading in the morning. I'll just show you guys. Just give me 1 second, about a new way for a threat to compromise your phone over the WhatsApp. Okay, so WhatsApp just announced today that they have a 0 day. You guys remember what is the 0 day from yesterday? 0 day is unknown vulnerability in your system, okay? And this is gonna let the attacker or the hacker to execute code remotely and take full control over your WhatsApp and your messages and your phone, okay? Because once I have a control over your WhatsApp, I can install application and I can spy in you. So this is one of the things that is nice to know when you read the news. And that's why I encourage you guys to read the news, okay? So they announced 2 0 days vulnerability in Android and iOS, okay, which is allowing the attackers to execute a code remotely, okay? So this is their attack vector. How they would deliver this to you, okay? And this is the interesting part, and this is where we talked about the attack vector. Look at the attack vector, okay, guys? I will just go to the attack vector. It's the bug is Overflow Bug. We talked about the integer overflow, but I wanted to show you how they do this. So an integer overflow bug that affect WhatsApp allow attacker to execute specially crafted code during an established video call. So they establish a video call with a victim, and during this video call, they will send a code during the video code, and this code will be executed in your phone. So this is their way to deliver their malicious code, okay? Another one, if you guys scroll down here, okay, you don't even need to accept the call. They will send you a video to your phone. If you see the video, your phone will be compromised. So this 2 methods, they call this attack vector. How I can deliver this? I'm sorry to share this, guys, with you, but I just find it very interesting to look at this. Okay, so here, what is attack vector means? I have the threat actor. We agreed about what is the threat actor yesterday, and the threat actor is using one of the methodology that we will talk about right now, a method to basically compromise your weakness or your network or your vulnerabilities, okay? So how can they do this? They can use phishing. We will talk about what is phishing. It's some sort of social engineering. They can use vulnerability exploitation, okay? They can send you an email with an attachment. You click the attachment and your computer will be compromised. They can talking to insider threats to allow them to get in. So all this is the ways to get in. If you wanted to more real example, it's over here. Look at this, guy. So this is the attacker, and this is the target network. So what the attacker will do, he have a control over a server over here, and he managed to send an email with a malicious link. So sending an email with a malicious link is the attack vector, because he wanted to get to your system. You received the email here as a target. You clicked the attachment or the link within the attachment. What will we do? It will take you to the malicious website. And once you are on the malicious website that's owned by attacker, the sky is the limit. The attacker can do anything. And the attacker can maybe create a phishing page that looks exactly like your Gmail. Or maybe the attacker will create something that looks like Facebook. Or maybe the attacker will have a tool to look for vulnerability in your web browser, and he exploits your web browser. End of these results, he will have your username and password. He will manage to steal your credential. Once he steals your credential, mean now he can impersonate you. Now he have your username and password. What he will do, he will go back to your network and try to get more privileged user, like this is what we call privilege escalation. I know this is new terminology, but I'm gonna simplify it. Is as you as a user, you cannot do much, okay? In order for the attacker to really control your network and to steal data and to do really harm, he needs to escalate himself as an administrator. And this is what we call it privilege escalation. Once he is an administrator, he will start to look for very important stuff in your organization, okay? Or maybe he will start to encrypt your file and achieve his objective by running a ransomware within your organization and get money out of you or Bitcoin out of you. Okay, guys? But the most important thing, which is I wanted to clarify here, is we have 3 parts of the attacks. Here, what we call them the attack threat actors. This over here, they call it the threats vector, the middle stage over here. And we have here the victim or the target or the client or whatever we can call it. And end of day, he will manage to deliver using a threat vector the tool that he wanted the target to hit, okay, or the target to exploit. Okay, guys, everyone understand this so far? Okay, everyone would understand what is the threat actor, threat vector, yeah. What is the difference between them?
Yeah.
Okay, and it mentioned clearly here, the attacker can use also social engineering in order to get your password, okay? So I have seen many social engineering, and we will talk about social engineering today as well, so we'll talk about it. Or the attacker, guys, maybe he will start scanning from outside the network, like you guys done yesterday, Nessus scanning. He will look for a vulnerability within your system. And once he will find a vulnerability, he will try to exploit this vulnerability and get a remote access to your system. Okay, so this is another attack vector. Okay, or maybe using social engineering to call someone within the organization and convince him to do something that will allow him to compromise another system. So this is all of them are attack vector. And in the end of the day, this is the path that the attacker will take to reach to you, exactly like reality. Okay, guys. So what is the main objective of attackers? If we have this guy over here, these attackers, okay, this is a simplifying phase, okay? He is really after stealing you, or maybe corrupting your data, or maybe have a revenge from your company. So they always have different objectives, okay? And end of day, they wanted to find a way to deliver this attacks to you. We have here, we have mentioned here, email attachment, software downloads, so they can convince you there is a software download which is very important, and you need to download it. And once you download it, it compromises your machine. So we'll talk about different things here. Okay, I just wanted, before we move here, guys, to show you some attacks in reality, how it happened. Financial gain. Very good. Who said financial gain? We am. Probably we am. I will show you a very important website. It's called FireEye. I don't know if you guys have seen know about FireEye. It's one of the best companies when it comes to information security and solution for information security. So look at this website. So what is this website is all about over here? Okay, it shows you what kind of attacks are happening, who is originating the attack, okay, and what kind of attacks is happening. So as you can see, Saudi Arabia is one of the one of the countries is being attacked, and you can see Thailand and Indonesia and Malaysia and Philippines is one of the countries that initiate the attacks. And I explained to you earlier why these countries are very famous with attacks, right? And you can see, okay, who is the top target for the attacks? Look at this. The top target for the attacks is basically financial service. Okay, people who has money, banks. Why? This is where the money is. This is where we can do extortions and take money. This is where we can apply ransomwares and take money in return. Okay, and this is a live threat map. Okay, and this is the time here. Okay, and how many attacks so far they encounter today. How they do this, guys? And this is very important. I just wanted to tell you about it. Okay, how did they do this? They have their own sensors. They have firewalls and intrusion detection systems and malware systems installed in so many companies and so many gateways over these countries. Okay, maybe they have. Now look, someone from Algeria is attacking Saudi Arabia, so watch out. Maybe you are the next target here. Okay, so what I'm saying is, look, someone from Egypt is attacking Colombia or something. Okay, so what I'm saying here, they install sensor all over these countries. Okay, especially if firewall have a corporate environment or corporate place over here, and they watch the traffic. And once they see malicious traffic, whereas it's a malware or a server that spread malicious software, they will once they see this, they will already map it here in this traffic. Let's look at this. Once someone from Jordan is attacking someone in, I don't know, Colombia or whatever. Okay, guys. So this is a nice thing to see. And look at the number of attacks today. 280,000, around 280,000 attacks, and it's still like 9:30 a.m. So imagine by end of the day how many attacks. Okay. Wow, we just attacked Brazil. Okay, or maybe, okay, this is another way to look at it. Ibtihal, I think, Ibtihal. Okay, so if you look at, and this is, I wanted you guys look at this. So this attack over here, they said it called advanced persistent threats. So even the attacks that looks like very sneaky, they can see it and they give you some sort of indication. This was an ABT. Okay, anyway.
Are those accurate?
I'm sorry?
Are those accurate attack?
Yes, this is accurate attack because Bassam, what they were saying, what they do here, they install, as I mentioned, sensors, and this sensors is firewall sensors, and the firewall and intrusion detection system can detect the attack, can see the malicious traffic, and report it to us. But another way to just keep in mind, okay, sometimes it shows that Thailand is attacking maybe Egypt, or Egypt is attacking maybe Saudi Arabia. But in the matter of fact, maybe it's not accurate when it comes to who is the source and who is the destination. Because some attacks, okay, is just asking you as a source to go and communicate with the command and control center in another country.
Right, so because here is because here it doesn't look like complicated though, and I don't know when you're gonna search for the attacker, it seems like impossible. But here, it seems like easy to go. It's like matter of time, and then get caught up.
Okay, no. You cannot caught up here. Why? Because your traffic is mixed with a lot of traffic coming from this country. So I cannot really determine which exactly where is the attacker, and I'm telling you this is from my experience also. Look at this. This looks very easy attacks to determine. Look at this. It's one went from Egypt to here and then went to United States. That means the attacker maybe are using a proxy to compromise a machine here, and then use this proxy to compromise another machine in United States. So it doesn't look really easy.
Also, you cannot like really maintain or really find exactly where he is, because he's gonna be like maybe opening too many ports for many locations. So you cannot like really, oh, he's here in Saudi Arabia, or he's right in Egypt, but he's already but he's actually in somewhere else.
Exactly, and as I mentioned, there is something called Tor. Have you guys all heard about Tor networks? Okay, we can discuss Tor networks, and in a very easy way. Tor networks is okay. Sorry if I never have said it before. Tor is a network that can work as a proxy for you to jump from hub to hub, so it will not be easy to track you back to your original IP address.
Right,
So
because
most
I'm
of the
gonna
attack,
build, yeah, because if I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna build many layers before, like many layers of addresses to not get caught up.
yeah, exactly. I agree with you, 100%, 100%.
So in
That's
this network, we use it as invisible party when we use
in
it.
this, yes, exactly. In Tor network, you want it to be invisible. So you want to be untraceable, basically. Okay. So you install the tool for deep web. You can use it also for deep web or dark web, but usually we use it to just basically randomize our IP address. So you look like you're coming from, for example, Brazil, but you actually are using the IP address from Japan. So it keeps giving you a hub after a hub after a hub, which is all of them an IP address. So even if you got the IP, finally you got an IP address finally in the destination where the logs is, it will show the logs for Brazil, which is not true. Okay, so this is another thing. But it's nice to see there's so many attacks happening, and we go back to our nice lecture over here. Okay, guys. So we talked about threats. We talked about the methodology or threat vector, where the attacker will deliver his tools to the to attack the machine. Okay, we already explained this diagram. Let's look at one of the simple attack some attackers they do to disrupt your business. I will explain it in a very easy way because it requires a little bit of network knowledge. Okay, guys. So we had agreed before that we have a very nice protocol that's built in 80s. It's called TCP/IP. Do we agree? And the TCP/IP, okay, is a protocol to transfer a data between two computers. Okay, guys, do we agree about this? Anyone to remember TCP/IP? Yeah. Okay, alhamdulillah. If you guys remember, I'm very happy. Okay, so what happened is TCP/IP, in order to establish the data transmission, it needs to do an operation called three-way handshake. Okay, and what is the three-way handshake? It's basically like we are meeting, or two people meeting in the streets and saying hi to each other. So before I start to send any actual data, we need to agree about certain things what we're gonna do when we are sending data to each other, like something like flow control and window size and all the stuff, but in easy way. So in order to talk to a web server, I will send a message like sync. Okay, this is the first part of the three-way handshake. So I will send sync, which is representing hi. Okay, in sync, I'm just trying to say that I'm gonna connect to you over port 80. Okay, and if this port is open, okay, this port and this computer, okay, will reply back by a message called sync. Okay, yani hi. Okay, when I acknowledge your first hi, يبقى sync ack. Have you guys studied three-way handshake at all in the university? Okay, alhamdulillah.
Yes.
Yeah, so we basically after this, I will send you sync ack, and then when you receive my sync, you will reply back by acknowledge. And during the sync acknowledge process, exchanging some data regarding flow control, regarding the window size. I'm not gonna go regarding sequence number. I'm not gonna go in details, but we agreed that sync ack is a way that we do as two communication devices want to communicate, and then the data will start to flow. Okay, let's look at the denial of service attack. So everyone understand this concept, and what the attacker will do in this case, okay, he wanted to really flood your network or flood your server. What happened is gonna do sync flood, and in the sync flood, what I will do, this is my computer, I will send to your computer sync. Okay, and what you will do here, your server is very nice server, so you will say send ack, and then he will be waiting for you to send the acknowledge and waiting for you to transfer the data. In a matter of fact, you will not do this. You will send another sync, and the server also will send, another sync ack and wait for you to finish the communication by sending acknowledge. You will not do that. and then you keep doing this. And because there is no expiry time, he keeps a bandwidth and he keep a process here for you, waiting for you. Maybe in 1 hour, you will reply with acknowledge. So there is no time out for sync and sync act and acknowledgement. Okay, so they exploiting the protocol itself, because when we built this protocol back in the days, we didn't think about someone will do this. And he will keep doing this until two things to happen, until one thing will happen, which is your processor memory and CPU will be full because it handles millions of requests, because these guys over here are using an application, is gonna create sync, and he will never reply. So your process and your CPU here will reach the limit, and the server will need to be restarted because it's already in hang mode. Or he will keep doing this all the time, okay, until your bandwidth, your network card will not be able to handle more traffic coming to this board, okay? And in the same time, if you have a legitimate user, if you have a normal user, he wanted to access you, or he wanted to access the website, he would not be able. Why? Because your network bandwidth is busy and your processes and your CPUs are high. So if someone is trying to access the website at that time, guys, it will be what? It will get 404, the page is not found, or this web server is busy. Okay, guys? This is denial of service. And you will find an explanation for it. And this is actually, I got it from our website, which is Coding Dojo, an explanation. Okay, but this is, I have explained to you guys, this is what we call denial of service, DOS, denial of service. And this is easy to defend against, because basically, once you have a firewall here, or once you have a network firewall, you can block this user from sending any traffic, and you can get rid of this issue, okay? What is not easy to do is if you have a guy over here, okay, controlling a botnet or controlling a zombie of machines, okay, or controlling a lot of machines, and he's ordering all this machine at the same time to do the similar attack. You will not be able as a server over here to defend using a simple firewall access test. Why? Because you have so many IP addresses, all of them looks okay, but they are sending so much traffic. So you don't know which one is normal user and which one is attacking you, okay? In this case, if you have so many devices are engaged in denial of service, they call it distributed denial of service. Okay, guys? Do you understand what is the difference between them and how it's simply done? It can be done in so many different ways. It can do even with ping command, you can do a denial of service attack like a Smurf or whatever. Okay, guys, so far so good. And this is, I will say.
But how to solve this potential DOS?
Okay, very good question, Ustaza. Ustaza, you're talking about denial of service or distributed Nawal? Distributed denial of service.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So distributed denial of service right now, there's a lot of cloud solutions exist. They have a very intelligent, I would say, intelligent solution for this kind of attacks. Yani, for example, AWS, if you hosted your website in AWS, by default, they will give you something called Shield. Okay, Shield is an advanced firewall to stop denial of service attack. Okay, and if you wanted more advanced, you can buy a subscription from AWS, and they will give you extra protection against denial of service attacks. So this is another way to transfer the risk of denial of service attacks from your premises to someone else, so AWS can see. Okay, how the AWS are doing this, guys, is basically AWS is looking at the traffic, okay, that's coming from different sources, okay, and analyzing this traffic on real time. And if it's find this suspicious, it will start to drop this traffic one by one and allow only legitimate traffic to come. So AWS doing the analyzation for you, you couldn't really doing it in your network. Okay, another solution for this is they call it CDN, or I will go for another simple one. It's called load balancer. Load balancer, that's you don't have one server only, you have multiple servers. And all of this multiple server have the same copy of your website. And you will have a device here called load balancer. When he have so many requests, it will start to distribute this requests to your servers. Okay, so this is another solution. It's called load balancer. Another solution is basically you are in sync with your service provider. Service provider for the internet can see and analyze the traffic on real time, and they can see the sources, and they can see also who is sending this data and can take an action to stop an attack like a denial of service, distributed denial of service. So I give you 3 solutions. One is to use a cloud solution like AWS and activate Shield, which is a product they have for denial of service attack. Maybe you are using within your organization, you can use load balancer. Okay, and load balancer will distribute the load between multiple servers. They called it the server farm. And eventually you can also talk to your service provider about a solution regarding denial of service attacks. Okay, guys? So far, so good?
Yes, so far, so good.
Okay. And denial of service attack, as I mentioned, it's a way to just compromise your availability. Okay, and I mentioned before, threats is all about compromising your confidentiality, integrity, availability. DOS is one of these attacks that actually compromise your availability. Okay, so we're done with this. This is explanation what is a denial of service all about, and what is the distributed denial of service is all about, and how it looks like. Okay, another way or another techniques that the attacker loves to do to compromise the system is basically by spreading malicious code. And that's why a topic of malware is a big topic, to the point that there is a job right now called malware analysis or malware analyst. Okay, because there is so many malwares يعني malfunction software, or software that's been developed with a malicious intent. Okay, so this is the generic term. Under the malware, there is so many types of viruses and worms and Trojan horses and ransom attacks, all of them. But end of day, all of them are tools to be delivered to you as a victim and take control over your machines. So this is in a simple it is. Okay. So one of them is Trojan horse. Okay, Trojan horse. I don't know if you have seen the movie or no, but it's a well-known movie about they were trying to get into a castle, and this castle was really, really strong, and they couldn't really, invade this castle by any means. Okay, so they said, okay, we'll give them, we will pretend that we are leaving the island, and we will leave a nice, horse made of wood, but inside this horse, we have our our soldiers, right, guys?
Yeah, Troy movies.
Yeah, Troy. Exactly. So in end of day, so after they seen the ships are going away, and they said, oh, they left us a gift. It looks nice. We will take it inside our what? Our nice defended castle. So what happened here? These guys, the attacker, managed to get something which is look bayin or look okay inside their defenses. Okay, and as you can see also from the movie, at night these ships return back to the shore or to the island, and the soldiers over here inside the horse, they went outside and they opened the gate. And that's exactly what a Trojan horse are doing right now. Okay, it looks like a good software. It looks like a useful software for you, so you can download it, or that looks like a good game. And once you download it, it will be still a good game. You can still play the good game, but in the same time, it's open a door for the attacker to get in. Okay, it's open a remote access for the attacker to get in. So this is one of the actually ways to do attacking. Sorry, for an attacker to get into a target or to penetrate the target defenses, is to convince you to download something that looks naive, but in the same time, it's harmful. The ways to do this, okay, in so many ways. They can publish this Trojan horse in peer-to-peer network, and that is very common. If you guys know what is peer-to-peer network and how to download files from peer-to-peer network, or even you heard about it, or they can publish it in a normal website, or they can actually send it to you by USB. So, you know, someone of your friends, they say, okay, I have found this very nice game free in the peer-to-peer network. Let me download it for you. I have it in my USB on my hard drive. So this is all the way, they called it attack vector. So you get it from a peer network, you get it from a web server, you get it from a USB. Okay, guys, so far so good?
Yeah.
Any question about Trojan horses? We shall move on. This is one of the most important attacks that I found right now. They called it the third-party attacks. Third-party attacks is huge right now, huge, okay? So let me try to explain it in a very simple way. Have you guys heard about Solarwinds attack? Solarwinds? No one heard about Solarwinds? Okay, let me explain about Solarwinds attack in a very simple way so you guys can understand what is drive-by download is all about. Okay, let's say I wanted to penetrate so many networks at the same time. Okay, so many organizations. Okay, maybe I wanted to penetrate, I will just say Aramco, and I wanted to penetrate Petro Rabigh, I wanted to penetrate Sabic, I wanted to penetrate, you know, STC, Mobile, you name it, okay? I will look for a vendor that's all of these guys are buying software from, okay? Focus with me, okay? So when we buy software, we trust the software that we buy from the third-party vendor. Otherwise, why we buy it, okay? So what the attacker will do, he said, okay, instead of exerting a lot of effort to attack this machine, or to attack this network, and to attack this network, or to attack this network and this network, I will attack the vendor here. Okay, guys? And once I attack this website, I will try to replace this good executable files, which is, they called it, for example, you downloaded a software from a company to scan your network or whatever. I will replace it with a malicious software. It will do the same functionality, but I will add to it a backdoor. So what will happen in this case? You will download the software, and because you trust the vendor, okay, they call this third-party trust. Okay, you will install the software and you will use it. Okay, so you will use the software in all this corporate environment. What will happen when you run this software? It will compromise your network, and it will give the attacker a backdoor to your network. And this is one of the most famous attacks that's happened in this, they call it the third-party vendor attack. It's called Solarwinds. And if you have no idea what a Solarwinds is, I would highly recommend.
It was a massive cyber attack, 2020, I guess.
Yeah, it's a couple of years
ago. I think it was by multi-factor authentication or two-factor authentication, I guess. Inside
yeah,
the file.
Yeah, Solarwinds, they did the same exact technique. Okay, they found a credential for someone who work in Solarwinds in not protected credential on the dark web. They use it to access this web server, which this web server was distributing software to many machine online. Okay, and they changed the executable files on the Solarwinds website of distribution to a malicious website. And this malicious software was installed in so many governments institutions in the US. So they compromise government institution. They compromise the defense of them, the defense of Department of the US. They even compromise FireEye, which is one of the very highly skilled security organization. So, and I think this is also Firewall is the one that they found about this attack.
I think this was by Russian cyber attack.
Yeah, well, to be honest, I you know, when it comes to who did it, I would say that the US have so many enemies right now. Yeah, okay. So you cannot really tell. Sometimes I say it's maybe, you know, North Korea, or maybe Russian, or maybe China, or maybe even the three of them have created an alliance and they are attacking the US organization. Maybe,
but I think because since it's massive cyber attack and it's in United States, and for the government, the attack was against the government. So basically, I would say our I would say like, yeah, it's Russian. I'll confirm that.
Yeah, well, you know, they
Because
said it's
because
Russia.
United States, they're not gonna come up with something kind of suspicious. They're
No,
gonna
I
make.
understand. No, I completely understand. But I'm saying the attack was massive. So definitely, who is behind the attack is a nation state. Okay, but which exactly nation states? You know, I will tell you what. Okay, let me tell you about the Iranian conflict right now. I just want to give you one incident, and then I will just move on with my lecture. Okay, so here's Russia. I would say. Okay, I will give R. Okay, and here is Ukraine. It's very close to Russia. And here is China. Okay, and you just cross the ocean and you have USA. Okay, so there is a cyber war going on right now. Definitely. Okay, you have to understand there is an alliance right now, consists of 40 countries, are based in Germany, and they're creating like an alliance to defend against cyber attacks and to launch a cyber attacks against Russia and China. So anyway, so here's what I heard here. So now a group of American hackers, they compromise Chinese platform and they use the Chinese platform to attack Russia. So the Chinese, I think, foreign minister, it comes in the news. He sees that he said that we know that we know that the US is behind the attack on this organization, blah, blah, blah. And we know they are using this organization as a proxy to launch an attack against Russia. Okay, in very simple terms. Okay, so they use countries against each other. So now I wanted to attack Russia. I don't want to create a fuss. So I'm attacking a country which is aligned with Russia, and then I will initiate an attack. So if you really doesn't dig deep about this attack, Russia will say, okay, China is attacking me. So the cyber war now is like, is way beyond you can imagine, okay? So this is what I heard about this incident specific. Okay, we go again to our lecture because there's so many stories. Dive by downloads, attacker compromise a website to gain control of it, okay? So the attacker installed a Trojan embedded in the website code or a website application. Attacker attempted to trick user into visiting the website. Okay, and this time, guys, of Solarwinds, they didn't have to trick anyone because this guys was automatically going to get the latest update of this software. So they convinced them this is a good software. It's developed by Solarwinds. There's nothing. And even, you know what happened here? The antivirus here, because we trust this company, we don't allow our antivirus to scan this software. So this is another important thing. That's because we trust the software, we doesn't really look into what this software is all about. So this is, again, this attack is very complicated and they compromise hundreds or thousands of clients all over the world. Okay, guys? And end of the day, it will allow you to have a remote access to the facility of the target organization. Okay, let me just clear this mess and move to another. Okay, one of the really scary thing that I would say in that scary is worms. Okay, because worms, guys, is 100% dangerous more than viruses. We heard about viruses and I love you viruses and all this stuff. This is the history of virus. I just got you a quick, nice view of how the virus started to look like. This is the first virus I have seen in my life. This is back in 2000 when I just got my computer. Okay, now it's not the same thing, but it's very close to this. So they send you an email, and this email, if you guys look at this, the email looks like a text, but it's not a text file. It's actually a Visual Basic script. And when you run this nice file or you double click, it will execute the script, and then it will delete all your operating system files. And then once you restart your computer, it's done. Your computer is out. Some of these scripts are really dangerous. It can actually clear your voice, and you have to reinstall the voice or even to change the motherboard. Some of them are extreme. Okay, so this is the really is beginning of viruses. The I love you before and before this. But you know, viruses is limited. Why I would say it's limited? Because it needs an interaction from you. It will not activate itself by itself. You need to double click. You need to copy file from one place. You need to have an executable file or Visual Basic file or a script to run. Or you need even to open مثلا a Word file with macros. You enable macros and you have a macro virus, and you need to run this macros in order for your the virus to start impact your computer and destroy your files. So viruses, I would say it has a very limited impact. But look at this thing over here. Worms. Worms doesn't need this. Worms are self-replicating. So once it infects your computer, it will look for a way to infect other computers without you interacting at all with worms. So the first worm that I have seen in the wild is, I think it's called Michelangelo. Okay, Michelangelo worm is all about, it will open your mail list and it will look for all your contacts email or the contacts, and it sends itself to all the contacts. Okay, but now worms are more advanced than this. It will look for a vulnerability within the network and exploit this vulnerability and start to move from target from machine to machine, to the point that I was once working in an environment and I have seen someone wrote a USB to one machine, and I was like, they called me, they said there is one machine down, okay, after a user inserted a USB. And in 2 minutes, there was, in the same subnet, 5 machine was down. Okay, I said, this is definitely a worm. Okay, and we had to isolate the entire network here, okay, because it was propagating using SMB, which is a protocol within Windows environment. Okay, if we didn't actually take this network away, it would have destroyed the whole network because it was taking machine after machine down. Okay, one of the most dangerous worm I have ever encountered or heard about is Shaman. Shaman is an actually attacks that hit the Aramco in Saudi Arabia. Okay, and what this worm done, or the virus worm done, is just was destroying the boot sector of computers and deleting files and taking computers down. Okay, so
nobody found out who done that till now.
Well, I can tell you, brother, I can tell you there is so many enemies for Saudi Arabians. Okay, so you have enemies by the borders, and you have enemies that they try to look like alliance, and you have okay, let's just not talk about political here situations, but we can talk about it in a separate session, inshallah. So we're not violating any code of conduct. So in 2013, guys, just to tell you, can you go back and check it out? It's called Shaman. Okay, and Shaman's attack, it's a one worm. Okay, that's spreaded in Aramco network, and in maybe less than 1 day, it took down 40,000 computers. Some of the statistics say that it was 30,000. Okay, but I have a friend of mine. He was working as a consultant at that time with Aramco, and he said, "You don't want to see the IT team, okay, the IT team faces in this day. It was really horrible." Okay, imagine 40,000. All your network, your computer one by one is down. Your servers is down. Okay, it takes them 2 weeks or 3 weeks to be back in the business. So imagine how much losses and how much financial impact this attack was. So this is one of the really worst forms I ever heard about. Okay, let's move to logical bombs. Okay, guys. So anyone has any issues so far? So this is all ways. A logical bomb is also like a virus, okay, or a worm, but the only difference is it's gonna be working with timing. Okay, there is one very famous one. It's called Chernobyl, and it was activated every day in the year when the Chernobyl nuclear facility was leaking, some emissions. Okay, that is the early beginning. But anyway, where you find logical bomb, usually you find some of the administrators are really hating the company they used to work for. Okay, or they were really upset because how the company dealt with them when they firing them, or maybe they letting them to go. Okay, so what they will do, he will have a worm. or will have a virus, and he will adding a task in his computer or whatever to run this file in a certain dates once he leaves the company. And once this time is he reaches the timing, the executable will be executed, and then the worm will be started to spread. So this is the logical point. But again, I found it happening less and less right now, because now the company are more careful when they are firing people. They don't tell them in advance. Before, they will tell you have 1 month and you need to leave the company. You have 10 days and you have to leave the company. The ones I saw right now that they take security seriously, and I have seen this in the banks. I don't know what is other organization they will do. In the day that you are gonna let you go, they will call you in HR. Okay, so you leave your system open and you go to the HR office. Okay, and then the HR will have a call with the IT. Once they will announce to the employee that he is already no longer more working for the company, they will call the IT and they say disable his access. You will disable his access instantly. So this guy, when he comes back here, he cannot send any emails outside. He cannot run anything. He have no credential to access the system again, and he's done. All he needs to do is to switch off his computer, take his keys, and leave. Okay, this is when you are really talking about taking the security seriously. So don't give the employees, especially if you're letting them go or you're firing them, the time to think about how to get revenge of the company. So this is my understanding. And even if you look at 27,000 series, if you look at the 27,002 specifically, there is certain module controls about hiring someone and firing someone. Okay, again, we go back here to look at backdoors. And I mentioned what is backdoors is all about when I talked about the third-party attacks. Backdoors, in a general way, guys, you have your computer. There is certain ports it's open to in your computer, like port maybe 80 if you are a server, port 25 if you are an SMTP server, maybe port 139 for SMB or whatever. Okay, so what happened is in backdoor, okay, is once you install a malicious malware, this malicious malware, it will open a port and let this port in a listening mode. Okay, so who knows about this port? It's in a listening mode and already knows about it is the attacker, because the attacker is the one who developed this malware. Okay, once this port is in listening mode, the attacker will start to connect back to this port of listening mode. Okay, طبعا some firewalls in between can block this kind of connection. Why? Because you are connecting to a port which is actually not known for the firewall. So most of the firewall will see these attacks happening and block the attacks. And that's why the attacker got really smarter when it comes to this attack. They started when they developed this malware, they asked the malware once installed to open a session back with the attack. Okay, so if the session is initiated from your internal network, going to the attacker machine, the firewall will not complain. So this is kind of bypassing the firewall. And they call this, inshallah, when we talk about, cyber security, ethical hacking, we call this shell and reverse shell, and we explain what is really shell and reverse shell in more details. Okay, but I just give you a point. But end of day, what is backdoor is all about is going to give the attacker a threat vector to reach to your organization and then achieve their objectives. And this is in a very simple way and not more. And you just need to know that there is two kind of categories backdoors. One is shell and one is called reverse shell. Another thing that the attacker is really in love with, and they do restore it in your systems, is basically keyloggers. And from the name, it's indicate that the keylogger is a software or application, is very famous between girls, by the way. I don't know why, but you can tell, especially if you are engaged or married.
Do you mean the attached keylogger?
Yeah, there is many types.
So this one is the physical one?
Yeah, there is a physical one. Okay, So it's like looks like a dongle or
A
a
USB.
Okay.
Yeah.
And some of them are software based.
Oh,
Okay,
really?
so it's just it just collect all the data and then send the email to the attacker with all your data. So if you type any password, if you type anything, if you do any chat in your Facebook, okay, the attacker will see. And that's why I'm saying it's a very famous between girls and in the US to use this. It's not kind of from a backdoor. I will tell you how it works. So the capture keystrokes means that all of us are writing stuff in our computer. Some of this stuff, including that when you log into a website, okay, or writing an email, okay, you are pressing a keyboard. So the keylogger is just a software. It's gonna create a log file .text, and in the log file .text, it has everything that you have already typed in your computer. Okay, and once it is completed, also it has an email address. Basically, for the attacker, it will send all this to attacker, so he can get your username and password. He can basically get all the conversation is done on this computer, and this all sort of stuff. So this is, and again, once the attacker has your username and password, okay, then it's easy for him to come back and attack this machine, or to have access to your maybe bank account or maybe your social account or whatever. Okay, guys, spyware. Okay, what is the spyware is all about? And the spyware is a huge topic right now. Okay, to the point that Apple is taking an Israeli company to the court in California to sue them because they're creating a spyware. Have you guys heard about Pegasus?
No.
Pegasus. Okay, Pegasus is a Israeli company. It's called actually NSO. Okay, and they are very well known for developing a mobile spyware called Pegasus. Okay, it's like Pegasus is actually in English is meaning the kind of horse with two wings. Okay, and it looks like this. Let me show you how the Pegasus software looks like. Just 1 second. Allow me here to just jump one. Yeah, here this is their logo, and this is actually Pegasus. It's called NSO Group. Okay, NSO, and they are famous with Pegasus, and Pegasus basically exploiting vulnerability in iPhone specifically and Android as well. Okay, and install a backdoor in the phone, and it will steal your information and will send it back to whoever bought the Pegasus software. Okay, and there's so many talks about it to the point that iPhone, okay, they couldn't really, because even the new iPhone iOS 14 was also breached by Pegasus. So they develop vulnerabilities, or they find vulnerabilities in the iOS, and they develop exploit for it. And once they exploited the phone, they turn your phone to a spy machine. So they spy on your voices messages, they're spying in your WhatsApp, they're spying in your text, they're spying in your voice calls, everything.
Is
okay?
This the one they hacked Jeff Bezos by it?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's very famous and you know what's happened in this story. I will not explain it because it has some stuff which is not appropriate to say. Okay, so new evidence has revealed that an Apple iPhone was successfully hacked by a government user of NSO Group, Pegasus spyware in December. This is recently, okay? Weeks after the technology giant sued the Israeli company in a US court and called for a ban from harming individuals using Apple products. So basically, the Apple organization are saying in NSO is harming individual. How they harming individual? By basically by exploiting their privacy, and then maybe this person who is exploiting your privacy are using this data to create something not appropriate. I cannot really go, but I will let you guys read about what happened in NSO and Pegasus spyware. But the spyware is becoming a very big topic right now because it's violating the privacy and turning our own devices to a spy machine. Okay, so you guys can read about this whole article. I can share it with you. Okay, one of the things also that is very common right now, and we have heard it and I think one of you guys have already talked about it today, also ransom. And why ransom is basically become the ultimate malware exists in the market, okay? Because it allows you to make money quickly, okay? Before, malwares,
Dr. Shadi, you are mute.
mistake. Sorry, I pressed my mute my mistake. But why ransomwares are very famous right now? Because it allows you to make quick money, okay? And as you guys mentioned, that's one of the objectives of the attackers, or one of the objectives of the hackers is financial gain, okay? So basically ransoms are allowing them to have this financial gain. But in order to really understand what ransom is all about, I wanted you guys, if you have time, to go in 2017 to read about how WannaCry, which is the first well-known ransom attack, is really emerged in the scenes. And it's very interesting reading. I promise that you find a lot of stuff that you never heard about it and you never expected to happen. So the WannaCry attacks, the first ransom ever exist right after the NSO, sorry, not the NSO, sorry, the NSI, okay, tools is being relieved. So, okay, so NSI is a National Security Agency, NSA, sorry, okay, they had very interesting tools, and they stole someone stole these tools and, you know, publicly put these tools outside. And right after this, the WannaCry attacks started to happen. Okay, so I wanted you guys to link what happened in SA leakage with the ransom attack of WannaCry. Okay, so what happens exactly in this? So the attacker will convince you to install a software in your computer, okay? Or maybe if he didn't manage to convince you, he will do it in your behalf, okay? And I will explain later on, inshallah, when we take cyber attacks, how can he do it in your behalf? But once, and I was working in University One, okay, and one of my colleagues pressed a link, which looks like a very useful tools, and once installed, okay, it started to encrypt his hard drive, okay? So it encrypts the hard drive, okay, with the public key. It used something called public key to encrypt the hard drive, okay? Once it's encrypted, it will show a nice message, like the one that I will gonna show you in 1 second, like this message. This one, oops, your file has been encrypted, and this is in the main boot sector files. This is even before you reach your Windows. Okay, your file has been encrypted. In order to get your files back, you need to pay this amount of Bitcoins. Okay, guys? And once you pay this amount, the attacker, it's up to him. This is, again, very important thing. It's up to the attacker to give you the private key to decrypt the data, because, you know, if we are encrypting using the public key, we will require the private key to unencrypt your data. Okay, this is in a very simple way. So this is what the ransomware is all about. Okay, guys, so far so good?
Yes.
This is in a very simple way, because ransom is really complicated. And again, if they convince you to click the link, that's good. If they didn't convince you to click the link, the attacker now are really, really good on actually taking this step on your behalf. So they don't actually require anyone to click the link. So they compromise their network. They find a foothold for them, and then they spread. They're looking for admin accounts, and then they started to download the ransom itself in a main computer, and then they started to encrypt computers within your network. So in order to do this in a big company, it's a long story, but I just give you how ransom it works in a very simple way. So this is another way also for attacker to achieve their objectives and to make money out of us or to exploit it. Okay. Rootkits. What is rootkits is all about, guys? Rootkits, from the name, it means it will give the attacker a root access to your machine. Okay, and how it's gonna do this? It's gonna target the kernel, and the kernel is basically the layer that can allow the operating system to talk to the hardware in a very simple way, because the kernel is like more huge than this to explain. It's an abstract layer that it will take your calls, I will say RPC calls or whatever, to execute it to the hardware. Okay, guys? But it inserts itself within the kernel. So your antivirus will not be able to see it. Okay? So the antivirus will not be able to see it because your antivirus is working on the application side and the operating system side. The rootkit is working in the kernel side. Okay? And then it can modify files, it can create backdoors, you name it. It's on the system because it's part of the kernel. And the only way to get rid of a rootkit is by formatting a machine. Actually, this
Oh
is
my
easy.
God, yeah.
Yeah, so this is the only way that you need to format your machine. You need to look for a good source and install it again from scratch. That's if you are encrypted with a root, if you are infected with rootkits. Because again, you are working with a privilege of systems, so it allows the attacker to do anything. And now, no software will be able to see really what's happening in the kernel, because even our antivirus is not really allowed to go to the kernel and inspect the call of antivirus. Of the kernels or the calls of the kernels. Okay, so here can modify system files and system angle, hide their running processes to avoid detection with hooking techniques. File integrity checker can detect modified files. Yani once you infected, if you have a file integrity check is some sort of application that can check the hashing file, the hashing for a file, and then if this hash is changing, that means something is changing it and can detect this suspicious behavior. طبعا we didn't study hashing. Inshallah tomorrow to try to go and clarify what is encryption and hashing in a more deep way, inshallah. Okay, guys. And I have added here in this lecture, I will share it with you. What is the difference between virus and worm? Okay, and I mentioned this before, and I told you the virus need to be triggered by the user. It infect an exe file, or it infect a Visual Basic script, or maybe infect macros in your Word, and then you need to double click or you need to execute this file in order to see the virus working. While worming doesn't need any interaction. It looks for a vulnerability, and then in your file, in your computer, and then it exploits the vulnerability and it starts to spread. Now, which one is more dangerous, which is, in my opinion, for sure, is worm, because it's self-replicating. It doesn't really need a carrier or someone to interact with it and replicate. So I will just give you a quick diagram. Let's say that your computer is infected by a worm. Okay, so if your computer is connected to two computers, these two computers also will be in no time also infected with the same worm. If they have the same vulnerability, if you are within the same environment, and I will guess that they are already vulnerable to the same vulnerability. If these two computers is connected to three computers, okay, also in the same environment with the same vulnerability, you will have in no time, okay, how many machines are infected? 9 machines. Okay, why? Because it's exponentially infecting machines. Okay, and imagine if this worm is started to spread over the internet. In no time, it can take the internet down if everyone is vulnerable for the same exact vulnerability. So worm is for myself, is far dangerous than viruses. Okay, guys?
Yeah, because it's a huge area to spread, and it can end. It's self-replicating.
Self-replicating. This is what you need to remember. And as I mentioned to you guys, it's also sometimes in the interview, you wanted to understand if you understand what kind of malware, because they wanted to understand if you are, okay, you understand what is the threats actors, you understand what is the threats vector. Someone can send you an attachment in email, someone can send you an USB, someone can actually exploit a vulnerability in your public website. So this is all what we say threats vectors, okay? Okay, what kind of tools the attacker will use in order to compromise your network? So one of the major things that attackers really love is malware. And as I mentioned, malware is all malfunction software means a software that is developed by malicious intent or by attacker intent for sure. Okay, and we've seen all these new attacks that emerge in the news. It's basically some sort of malware. So ransomware is a part of malware's family. Okay, worms and viruses are part also. Rootkits is part. Okay, so one of the things that the attacker they love, our Trojan horses, is malwares to spread. Okay, guys. Okay, botnets. This is also something which is emerged recently. Okay, and it means what? The attacker now wanted to create an army. Okay, so can later on, you know, create denial of service attack or distributed of denial of attack. So what he will do is, okay, he will infect this machine with a virus. Sorry, with a worm, and infect another machine with a worm or a virus. Okay, we'll infect another machine with a Trojan horse or a worm or a virus. And they call this machine that infected zombies. Why? Because all of them, they're gonna listen to one certain location. They said they call it the command and control center that's owned and controlled by the attacker. So the attacker now have maybe a one network consists of thousands of these zombies machines. What we mean by zombies means a machine that's infected with a virus, and it will listen to whatever the attacker will do. So the attackers are really creative. So some of the attackers, they are selling the service. They say, okay, you wanted to buy our service. We have 1,000 machine here you can use. And you say, okay, you know what, I will use it. What you're gonna use it for? I will use it to do a distributed of denial of service attack against a company that I hate. So you can use it, okay? Or I will use all this machine to do mining, you know, cryptocurrency mining. You can use it. So, and the money will go end of day to the attacker, okay? Or himself, okay, if he's not renting it out, he can use it to launch a spam or spam emails, or he can use it for creating, you know, hocus email. He can use it for creating maybe social engineering or phishing emails. So it's a powerful thing to have. Or if some of these guys actually using these machines, okay, to decrypt files, because they have so many powerful machines over here, they can use it to decrypt files, and they can use this shared resources to decrypt files. So this is all what the attacker can do. So you have an army of machines. So it's up to the attacker how he uses. Okay, guys. This is what botnets is, and what is zombie machine is, and that's why you find governments all over the world, and even big companies, they don't like botnets. Why? You find maybe sometimes FBI are aligned with Microsoft to take one of these botnets down, and to take the command and control down, or to find out who was running these botnets. Why are they doing this? Because they don't want an attacker to be a super powerful. And if you have some of these botnets, guys, they used to have 500,000 machine or 200,000 machine. Imagine what you can do with 200,000 machine under your control. Okay, guys?
Excuse me, Mr. The malware, it's a joint to robotic network. It's mean control?
Yes, control.
Okay.
Okay, this is self viruses replication mechanism. I mentioned replication mechanism is how viruses is spread between a computer and computer. Maybe someone give you a flip, maybe someone give you a CD or give you a USB with a virus. So this is a way. Maybe you downloaded something malicious from the internet. Maybe you are part of peer-to-peer network, so you are installed the virus. So this is how the virus replicated. Activation mechanism. I mentioned activation mechanism that you need to really activate the virus in order to start work, and the payload mechanism, what the attacker would do once the virus start to be activated and work in your environment. Okay, guys, I have mentioned this. Let me just go quickly to social engineering before we start our session, the demo live attack. I will just explain very quickly about social engineering. I know most of you knows social engineering. How many of you guys doesn't know what is social engineering is all about? How many, this is the first time he heard about social engineering? Okay, I know a lot of you guys, mashallah, they heard about social engineering terminology, right? Okay, so Lamia is saying this is the first time I hear. This is good, Lamia. Okay, so what is social engineering? Social engineering is all about deceive someone to do something which was not supposed to do. Okay, let me tell you what this is. It's called here conning someone, yani deceiving someone. Okay, so let's say, Lamia, I will give you a very quick example. Let's say that you are working as a help desk, okay, and you are working in a help desk in an organization, okay, and someone from outside the organization, okay, he called you in the phone and he said, I'm the CEO, my name is Mark, whatever, okay, and my email, and I'm trying to reach my email address, okay, and it's kind of urgent, okay, and I need you to reset my password and then tell me my password. What this poor guy will do, okay, and I have seen this, they have done this before, because he knows this is the CEO, and the CEO is calling him personally, and it's kind of urgent to access the website. Okay, is that what you do? Is that okay? I reset the password, and here is the password here, and this is could be and just an attacker. So he deceived or conning this guy, this poor guy, asking him to do something part of his job, but in the same time he allowed him to access the mail server of the company just by a phone call. So this is the easiest way to explain. Okay, another way, says Shaza is saying that you can just, instead of doing this, okay, let's say that you are sitting in your computer here at home at night, and then you were looking at your email, and then you find a nice email coming from your bank. We are migrating our system to a new application, okay? And in order to make sure that your account is valid, account is still activated, you need to log into this link. First of all, your bank will never send you this link, okay? That is the bottom line. But this is what we call social engineering, is we trying to deceive you to do something. Okay, so once you click the link, Lamia, you will be taken to a website which looks exactly like your website for bank, because they clone or they make a copy of the bank website, but with a different URL. Okay, and it's here. It will show you put your username and password, and in the background they will have a log file. And in this log file, once you enter your name and password, it will be written here in the log file. Okay, and then they will redirect you to the real bank website. And this is deceiving. Okay, deceiving means they managed to get your username and credential of your bank just by email. And this email, if you actually, because it's night and you're not really focused, you cannot really tell the difference between the real email and the phishing email. But if you are really sharp and you know about this phishing attacks, it's easy to find out. I just added here also a very quick slides, guys. And here, phishing means you are trying to send an emails to make the user to do something in order to steal their information or their personal data. And this is how it works. They send you email. And this is an example for an email sent by Amazon. Can you guys see my screen right now? I know it's not very clear, but you can see from the sender here it looks like coming from Amazon management, okay? And as you can see here also, the subject is something about detail, okay? Account details, so something about your account. So subject is nothing. You find Amazon.com also logo over here. And first of all, you can see dear client, okay? Or maybe sometimes even to communicate with you with your name. And they code the name. If they know your name and you know details about you, they call it spear phishing. It's not phishing. They are targeting you specifically. So they know your name, they got your email address somehow, and I will explain later on, inshallah, when we talk about cyber attacks, something called harvesting emails from companies and whatever. Okay, so they can call you your name, or you can actually dear client. And end of the day, they will say, okay, we are having issues with our system and we need you to go and check your Amazon account. Please click here. Okay, when you click here, it will take you to a website looks like Amazon exactly. But one thing in this email can tell you, okay, this is a phishing email. If you guys look at this URL here, look, it's coming from what? It's not coming from amazoncanada.ca. It's coming from something called amazoncanada.ca. So they tried to get a domain which is look very close to Amazon. So if you are not really focusing, so you say, okay, this is an email from Amazon asking me to verify my account details. Let me click the link. Also, when you click the link and being taken to the website, you didn't really look at the URL. How the URL looks like. Maybe the URL looks, the website looks like Amazon, but the URL is completely different website than Amazon. So they try to trick you to give them away your username and password. Okay, this is a phishing on social. And this is very easy for the attacker. Why? Because they exploiting now not a very complicated hardware system like firewall and intrusion. They exploiting us as a human. We are as a human, if we feel the urgency, okay, we can do stuff quickly. So if I got you feeling urgency, you can do. If I call someone, I say, okay, I'm the CEO, I'm in the meeting right now, I need to access my email, I cannot access my email, can you give me, reset my password right now? Okay, if you are a poor a help desk team guy, and this is maybe your second week at work, okay, you don't want to upset the CEO. So you will do this because you feel the urgency, and this is happening all the time, okay? Yeah, I agree with who said that the human can be actually the weakest. Yes, I agree with WM. WM is saying the human could be really actually the weakest point of our security. Okay, and that's why, guys, if you remember the second day, we talked about something called managerial controls. Who remember that we talked about managerial controls? And one of the managerial controls we mentioned a couple of days ago, we mentioned that managerial controls is all about management soft controls, like policies. And I mentioned something else. I said like awareness training. Okay, you need to take your employees and tell them about this phishing attacks. Okay, and show them an example. Okay, show them an example so they don't fall a victim for a phishing campaign. Okay, and if you wanted really to take it to the next level, you can create a phishing campaign and sending it to your employees and see which one of them they will reply back or they will click the link. So you know which employees really need this training. Okay, guys? So this is all, or maybe you're implementing a very secure software filtering here for spam and for phishing emails in your network. So there's so many ways to protect against phishing and against phishing. One of them, the management controls. I don't know if you guys can hear me because I don't see any interaction. Can you guys, are you okay?
Yeah, your voice
Yes.
is
Yes, we can hear you.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, so from time to time, just send me a heartbeat. So, you know, a message alive, keep alive, like Bing. So I know that you guys are here because sometimes I feel silence. So I feel I'm talking to myself. Okay, great. So this is one of the things that we need to be worried about because according to so many magazines that I read recently, they saying the phishing attacks is part of around 30 to 40% of most of the attacks happening right now start with a phishing email or a phishing or a social engineering attack. Okay, so they try to compromise one of your employees, okay, to click a link, to give away a username and password, and eventually, okay, they can compromise your network. Why? Because as if you're opening the door for an attacker to get inside your organization. And I mentioned the attacker, the actor are there. There are so many of them. They're looking for an attack vector. Okay, So they're sending you an email, which is the attack vector, waiting for you to do something. And once you do this something, you will open the door for attacker to be in. And that's what all he needs. Okay, because right after this, he will start to take his time to how to escalate his privilege and how to look for the important things in your organization to basically to exploit or to extract money from the organization. And if you have any doubts, we already explained this diagram. I wanted you guys always to look at this diagram, because this is the diagram is explaining where are you as a defender, okay, or your network. Where is the attacker is? It's out there over the internet, okay, and so many of them, so many of attackers categories, and there is so many ways also to attack, to do attack vectors, whether in by email, okay, or whether by maybe isn't physical attacks. They can come to your network. I've seen a movie before, okay, that attacker, he was desperate to attack certain bank because he felt this bank is already he took his money away. Okay, it's a long story, but end of day, what he did, he noticed that the receptionist, okay, when she sitting in the bank, the first main door, the receptionist was sitting like this, okay, and her. Okay, so I will tell you what you do need to chat in just 1 second. Okay, so he noticed that this is a receptionist. She's sitting in front of her computer like this, and they have a desk over here where you as a client, you stand by this desk. Okay, but he noticed that the CPU, the back end of the CPU, he can see. So he saw two USBs areas. So he ran a code. So he have a USB, and he made the USB auto run. So whenever he put something here, it will auto run from this USB, and he created like a backdoor, and he just asked the receptionist here to give him a document to fill. She went to get the document. He put his USB, the USB run, have an access. Now he's accomplished to access the network. So they will be very, they will be very innovative when they are really wanted to exploit your system. I don't know if you get this story or no, but it's,
have you heard about Tiger Team?
Tiger Team? No.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
You
No,
know.
I have no. Okay, you can share it with us. I really like to hear about stories about cybersecurity. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, the owner of the jewelry store, he posted that in a news magazine, or sorry, in the news, says that he put a challenge who's can who's able to like attack and breach my store with all his new setup security.
Okay.
So and the Tiger Team, they came up and they done that without knowing the owner. And yeah, and then they surprised the owner that they got into the store, and they steal everything and capture everything and open the jewelry store.
Okay.
With
But how did they do this? If he has the latest and greatest security tools.
well, they are a team, and they have their equipment though.
Okay.
Yeah, so they started without let him know. They just surprised him with the video and picture and everything. And when he came and he got checked, how with the new setup security and that really strong setup.
Yeah, exactly. So they are innovative when it comes to really bypassing the security controls.
Yeah, so it's also the same thing. It's similar to your story. So they came up in regular days and just plug in the USB to the CPU, and from there start everything.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, it's easy for the bank and that's why, guys, right now, I think this is a common practice right now when I started to notice in the banks. Before, you had this reception team, okay, they are sitting and their Kesa or their laptops are there, and you can see all the ports in the back and everything. Now, most of these stuff right now is being hidden under the counter, so you don't have any access to it. So this is kind of physical security they start to apply in order to stop these attacks. Someone coming from outside, plug, and some of the other things that can stop this attack is basically to disable all the USB ports in these computers. So it's either one of them, okay? So or either to apply both of them. So you disable this USBs and you hide the case as well. Okay, this could be called defensive depths. So you apply two controls in order to stop this kind of attacks to happen. Okay, guys, I just wanted to go and really, we talked about really 0-day vulnerabilities. Yesterday, I believe we talked about vulnerabilities. I just wanted to talk about watering hole attacks, and what watering hole attacks is all about is basically
Sorry for interrupt. I just shared the YouTube video for the Tiger team.
Okay, I will check it out. Thank you, Basil. Okay, so here, guys, a watering hole is basically is a terminology coming from Africa, where you have a water, and all the animals will come at one certain times to drink in the morning and then drink afternoon. And they say that the predators, they know that's about these timings and they attack, animals at that time. So this is watering hole. What watering hole is basically, I will have a website, okay, and the website is basically well known for everyone. Let's say that's a news website that everyone visit in the morning because before they go to work. So everyone in this city is visiting the news website. So the attacker will come and find the vulnerability in this website, and basically they will exploit it. Okay, once they exploited this website, they will start to spread, because now they know that all these guys are coming here to access the website. They started to spread malware from this website to all these users, or maybe infection to their machine. Okay, and that is exactly what they do. So I just wanted to tell you a story about this very quickly. So the Chinese authority, okay, they have an island called Hong Kong, and in Hong Kong there is so many people doesn't really like the Chinese authority and government. So they usually have newspaper where they have their own opinion there. Okay. So what the Chinese authority, they wanted to spy in all these activists, or they wanted to spy on all these guys at the same time. So they said, okay, in order to really spy on all these guys, there's two ways: is to hack all these guys together, or to go for a watering hole, which is a website that all of these guys are visiting, and then compromise it. And from this website, we can track all these people. Okay, so they did this watering hole and the attack. So as you can see, here is the definition of watering hole. It's an attacker identify website trusted by a group of people. Then attacker infect this website. User go to the infected website and then to promote them to download file or to download software, and then compromise their phones. And this was very famous because what they found out from this attack is the virus that they infected the website that is going to be installed is virus that exploit 0-day in iPhones. So even if you have an iPhone and you're visiting this website, this website was looking for a vulnerability in your iOS and exploiting your iOS vulnerability and exploiting your phone and turning to your phone as a spy device. So this was also I wanted to tell you about watering. Okay, so we talked a lot about this is also some terminology called the spear phishing. I told you what is spear phishing, when you target someone specifically within the organization. We also we can also read about whaling. Whaling is basically you target the CEO or the CFO of the organization. So you target the top level C-level inside an organization. They called it whaling. Why whaling is very common? Because the top of the organization is well-known public figures, so they easily can find their emails. They also, the CEOs are not really technology savvy. Okay, so it's easy for us to trick them by emails or whatever. Okay. Okay. So here, the last thing in our lecture, how to stop this, how to mitigate the risk of social engineering, how to mitigate the risk of phishing emails, how to mitigate the risk of malwares and viruses and all this stuff in your computer. And as you can see here, okay, this is the malware. Is very common in the wild, and your computer over here. Okay, so you need to build some sort of defenses in order to stop these guys to get in, because once these guys get in, that means the trouble will start for you. Okay, so the first thing is saying, if you have a phishing emails coming, if you have an email coming with a suspicious link, you need to implement here, which is not specifically a firewall here, you need to implement something called for a spam filter on your mail gateway. So the mail coming to you does have a link and you see it's suspicious, then maybe your email filter will put this email in the junk, or maybe it will put it in quarantine and ask an administrator to look into the emails. So this is a way to prevent the email to get from inside the organization. Okay. Also, once the email is here, okay, and maybe this guy clicked the link. Okay, usually the link will not do any harm until the attacker will start to execute something in your computer. So you don't leave your computer without defenses, implement defenses in your computer. So anti-malware software on email gateways, so anti-malware software in the mail gateways. Here also, you can implement anti-malware in the mail server and also in the client. And this is what we call defense in depth. So we apply multiple defense layers in order to stop the attack. Once the first thing is to implement filter, to filter these emails, okay? And also you implement anti-malware software, so it looks inside these emails, looking for any executable file which looks suspicious or anything, and also filtering it or deleting it. Also, let's say that this guy was smart enough to bypass both of these layers of defenses, and the email managed to get to the user. Don't leave the user without defenses. Implement anti-malware in his computer to detect all this kind of of attacks. Also here, look at this. Look at boundaries, firewall, UTM. This is kind of system that is there that can actually create a boundary between your network and the external network. And we'll talk about UTM and firewall, intrusion detection system, and intrusion prevention system in more details when it comes. But again, what this all about, this system over here, is creating a boundary. It's creating a zone between the trusted network, which is your network, and the untrusted network, which is the internet and outside. Because this is where usually the attacker will try to infiltrate or try to get from, and this is the attack vector. So we need to stop the attacker from getting in. Remember the house example when we said, if you leave the door open, anyone can get in, right?
Yes.
So you need to make sure to lock your door and make a safety zone inside your house so no one can get in. So this is how your firewall looks like, and UTM machines and intrusion detection. Okay, this is how to stop malware. طبعا antivirus software. There is so many antivirus software exists in the market. Some of these softwares are signature based. What we mean by signature based? Oh, okay, I don't know. We are supposed to get like a Sumi here to give a demo. So let me see if Sumi can really join. Okay. So anyway, if he didn't join in the morning session, I'll make sure that he will join afternoon session to give you the demo. So antivirus software I mentioned there is so many viruses and worms, okay, exist, and most of them are really gonna do harm your confidentiality or integrity or availability for your systems. So in order to really stop these attacks, we need to have some sort of prevention tools. So, you know, antivirus software is great, okay, and the antivirus software, they work in two modes. One of them called signature-based detections, and one is called heuristic-based detection, okay? And the difference between them, okay, is the companies that they are developing this antivirus, they will have updates, they will have a signature. Every virus that exists, they will have a signature for it. So once it recognizes the signature, it will create an update, and it will update your computer client. So if your computer client sees the same signature, it can detect this signature and say, you know what, this is a harmful piece of code, and we need to delete it or quarantine. Okay, so this is how signature based. And how they do this, they basically, they look at the file, they look at the content of this file, and they are trying to develop the signature accordingly. And you know, this is not very successful, because basically we have seen now new virus, I would call new virus generations, which is called polymorphic viruses, which is the viruses that's encrypted from inside, and it changes the content of the virus itself according to the environment that's run on. So even the signature base is not very successful to find out this virus, polymorphic virus. So what can we do to stop these attacks? We have something called heuristic based detection. Means all the virus will do some certain behavior when they infect the system. They will copy themselves to the system files. They will maybe try to add themselves in the registry. They will maybe try to download something from a website. They try to create a new process. Okay, so all of them, they have certain behaviors that most of people can agree about. So in heuristic-based detections, when you enable this mode, which is it exists in most of the antivirus, it will look at the behavior of certain file or certain executable. If it's assigned this behavior very similar for a virus, it will quarantine this file or it will delete this file. Okay, guys? So this is the two modes that antivirus work at. And this could be actually a part of the exam when you guys going for exam like Security Plus or even CEH, they will ask you what kind of viruses. And as I mentioned, there is a new generation of viruses that encrypt the content, the polymorphic viruses. And it's also you can find a question in the exam. Okay, before you know, I just wanted to tell you Cuckoo Mailbox, what is our Sandbox, what is the Sandbox technology is all about. I know it's kind of new. This is a company that is, once you received an email, okay, or once you received a file, okay, with basically a malicious code, it will take this file, okay, this is kind of firewall, and it will create a sandbox environment. And sandbox is a virtual environment that is completely isolated, okay, and then it will execute this file within this environment, and then it will start to really look into the behavior of this file. If it's found that this behavior is really malicious, it will not allow this file to get to the destination. So this is what Sandbox is all about. So Sandbox is a virtual environment that allow me to execute the malicious file within this environment, and this file environment is isolated. And according to the behavior of this file, okay, I can determine if I'm going to allow this file to enter my organization or not. So this is kind of things that we have seen here. I know that we are running out of time. I just wanted you guys to show. Hello?
Sorry, Shady. I'm really sorry for being late.
Oh man, come on. Okay, no problems. Okay, I think it's right now. It's gonna be
Your voice is going.
Okay, I'm sorry. It's gonna be the break time for the guys to pray and also to have lunch break, right, guys?
Yeah.
So can we do the demo, Somi, around afternoon session?
Sure, like within an hour, correct? Like what
Now?
before
Yeah, exactly.
like your session ends?
When you guys coming back from the lunch break is 1:15, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so you and Asad can coordinate. So we'll explain the assignments because the assignments for today is not big, and then we can go for the live demo for the hacks. Okay, guys?
We can
Okay.
we do that in the reverse order, like the live thing and then the
Yeah,
assignment?
sure. No worries. No worries. You coordinate with Asad, send him a message, and then say that I will start the demo, and then Asad can do the lab. No worries. I have no
Great,
problems
thanks.
with the order at all. Okay.
And also one small request. Can we shut down the recording for that while?
Sure. I have no problem with this as well.
Thanks a
You
lot.
don't want to get in. You don't want to get in trouble with the government.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. No worries. Okay, inshallah, we are doing this just for the sake of learning. We are not requiring the students to hack each other or
Correct.
anything. So that's we wanted to show them that the attacks is real and with skills, okay, that you acquire by time, you can be always able to do hacks and eventually be able to also stop the hack. Okay, just wanted to show you guys the website. I will show you what we have covered today, and you will find it very similar to what it is. Okay? So we started our day was different than what the website is saying, that we started with the social engineering, but I went through the threats, who is the threats actor, what is the threats vector, and what methodology the threat actor are using to really get into your network. So this is very sorry, this websites. Okay, let me just okay. So we also talked about social engineering, and I will give you example of phishing, you know, a spear phishing, whaling, and all the stuff. Let me see if I still. Sammy, can you order? Can you actually access the website right now?
Yes, I can. Oh, let me show that.
Okay. I don't know.
I can share it.
Okay, I will stop sharing and Sam.
I'm sorry, like, did I share before you stop sharing?
The
What do you want
familiar example for spread phishing, like when we received the VoIP call.
Yes, it's very famous
Yeah.
attacks.
Yeah.
I'm sure that is very famous, and you know, some sort of phishing is not coming by email, and they call it smishing. That comes by SMS, and some of them are coming by voice calls, and they call this phishing. So this is all sort of social engineering by using different tools. Okay, guys. So basically, what we have covered today is the threats. What is the threats actor is all about? What is the threats vector? What kind of tools the threats actor are using to actually penetrate your network? And I said that's actually the attackers loves malwares with all this different type of malwares. We talked about also denial of service attack, distributed of denial of service attacks. How can we mitigate it? We talked about also. We didn't talk about spoofing, but it's easy also concept and the man of the middle. But we talk about phishing. If you guys, if you TCP hijacking, yeah. So
Shady, you can have my remote control. So you
yeah,
can
no,
just
it's
have
okay.
my
It's
remote
okay.
control.
I'm just showing the students that we have covered most what we have in the website. But again, the website is actually does have extra more. Okay, we cannot cover all whatever exactly in the website in one session. So I highly recommend the day to day after you finish your lab or your assignment. Okay, spend some time to read the content for tomorrow. Okay, And if you have any question, always come to me and say, you know what, I have found this in the website and I couldn't really understand. Okay, guys, because this is cannot be 100%. It cannot be 100% like official course where you go through everything in the material. We're trying to cover most of it in the lecture, and by you guys reading the content as well, it will make a lot of sense for whatever we cover in the material, or cover in the lecture. Okay, guys. So any questions so far? I can see some of you guys sending me. Okay, if you guys were late for the session today in the morning, please contact Mr. Asad. Okay, he can really look into your Zoom and see when exactly you join the lecture. Okay, and he can tell you accordingly if you will be considered absent or late or attendant. So, and again, please try guys to come on time, because I mentioned one thing that's really SDA is taking care and looking at it in a very taking it very serious, is basically attendance. So make sure that you really come on time, try to leave on time, and ask an instructor or the associate instructor or the TAs or whoever in the session, what is your plan? Are you finished with your lab and you're going? Okay, let me take your attendance before you go. So always communicate. Don't say, okay, you know, I've done my lab, I submit. Thank you very much, I will go. No, stay until you get your attendance. Stay until maybe further information